Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply interiorism, which is the philosophy that is inspired by mysticism, law of assumption, law of attraction, different philosophies, and so on and so forth. And it's packaged in a way that modern working people can take it and apply it immediately for massive results. We apply that to rapid lifestyle transformation, to getting your life, basically, if I could put it in a more general form, building your life the way you want it. It's lifestyle design, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same thing that authors like Tim Ferriss write about. I just bring to it the philosophy of interiorism and a consistent understanding of that, ladies and gentlemen. Much is made of techniques and processes, and in fact we're going to give you a lot of techniques and processes on this channel, unique ones that have been developed throughout my career of study and business and manifesting, and tested by me for years, and they're going to benefit you a lot. But remember the main tenet of this, and Joel Goldsmith said this well, and of course, as we talked about in the early times in this channel, the early days of the channel, so to speak, there is no contradiction. There's only paradox. And all paradox can be solved when we realize that we're speaking on different planes and different levels of reality. We did give the levels of being, which have been inspired by many spiritual teachers, of course, with divinity at the top and physicality at the bottom. And we know that at root of that, reality is non-dual. It's one. And this is what all the great spiritual teachings teach. It's the tenet of interiorism. And the core point is what Joel Goldsmith said. He said, stop trying to apply truth. You know that once you get in a certain level in these modalities, you're no longer trying to apply it. Nevertheless, we do apply processes in the physical, but we have to do them with one end in mind, and that is getting into the state of what we want, not directly to pursue what we want through those processes, because then you're just using it instrumentally on the physical. And what we're trying to do is get out of what Joe Dispenza calls the Newtonian method, where we're trying to physically influence everything through physical cause and effect, and we're trying to get in the Einsteinian model of getting beyond the physical, so to speak, and in those smaller molecular parts of that. And to that aim, I'm always looking at channels and books about success and so on and so forth, because remember this, and this is probably going to be the main theme of this video. Once you understand interiorism, once you understand the principles, you can then go and read any self-help literature, any manual, any rules of a game, and you can be successful in them. Why? Because you're coming at it from a place of fulfillment. See, if I were to just send you to read some self-help authors who say work hard, don't take a break, and so on and so forth, do it all yourself, goal setting, those principles have limited applicability and limited success, and most likely you're not going to be able to follow that. Why is it that so many people have self-help books and they're just sitting gathering dust on their shelves and their lives never get better? Ask them 10 years later and their lives don't get better. Of course, it's because they're not applying it consistently. But why aren't they applying it consistently? Because you're going at it from the modality of what we spoke about in the last few videos of by me, trying to make it happen. That's exhausting. You cannot sustain your energy by that. But if you go into interiorism, the teachings of interiorism that teach that you are already it and you already have it and the rest is just a game to enjoy yourself, then you'll approach it as a game and you can apply all of these modalities. You'll know when to apply them, because at root, you're not trying to apply truth. In the videos that are coming up, we're going to be giving many more examples of this. Like we always say, if you don't understand what we're talking about, stay tuned, keep watching, and don't simply try to understand it intellectually. But I love Andrew Huberman's channel, and Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist, and he talks about basically applying the principles that have been studied scientifically in his labs and other labs to bettering our lives. Of course, the end goal is the same of his programs and our programs. We just come to it from a little bit different bent, and that is to make your life better. As William James says, the test of the veracity of any philosophy is, does it make your life better? Well, there's an amazing technique that Huberman came up with, or not came up with, but actually discovered through sifting the scientific literature, and it's a journaling technique. And the basics of it is, or the basic aspects of it are that you go back to a time in your life that was very stressful or very traumatic, and you actually write about that for 15 to 30 minutes, write about how it made you feel, and you do that 4 times. And the theory of this being, and it's actually been proven through the journals and studied through scientific studies, people showed significant progress in their emotional and even physiological conditions, is that basically you change the framing of it as you write those 4 journaling exercises. And I thought back and I said, we can do that, and that's a way and a method, but people on our channel don't need to do that, because we can just simply go back and revise. And actually, all of the processes that we do have to do with remembering. And it's very important that you understand, even when you're visualizing and getting into the state of something that you have already attained, that you want to attain in the future, but you have to look at it as having already attained that, you're remembering it. When you visualize something in the future, you're remembering the future. Why? Because there's no past or future. There's only one moment looked at from different points of view. All of the science proves this. And to that end, I just wanted to go over again some aspects of the great process of Neville Goddard of revision. And he talks about this in many of his works. And of course, this is based on the biblical story of the unrighteous steward. And I had videos about this in the past, but I do want to emphasize this again, because we're always getting new subscribers and new viewers. I want to emphasize this very important process. It's important because it is a prototype, it is an archetype, so to speak, of all of the process. All of the processes in this channel have to do with remembering and reassembling in your mind what has been presented to you, and thus changing the only time that there is, which is the past, present, or future. It's the present, but you're reflecting back to the past. So when you change your present, when you change the agglomeration of feelings and sensations and thoughts, which we call state, and context, which we call state, in the present, you're actually changing the past. It's been proven in scientific studies, but I just wanted to read again the great passage in the book of Luke, and this is biblical, ladies and gentlemen, scriptural, and there's a reason why the stories of Jesus have all of these parables. Because remember, Neville Goddard taught us well, the Bible is not to be taken literally, nor is any spiritual book. It's to be taken as a psychological figuring, or a psychological structure of what is within every man and the attainment of every man. So it's not something to be taken as a rules book, but rather it's to be understood deeper. And as the great Boris Berezovsky said, the Jewish readers of the Bible, the Jewish students and scholars of the scriptures, understood this well, that this is actually a manual for how to operate in your life. This particular parable, I've asked many religious figures and leaders. No one could explain it to me, because it seems to contradict everything that's taught in the literalist-minded church, or the Orthodox religion today. But it said, the parable of the unrighteous steward. Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him in and asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account for your management, because you cannot be manager any longer. I don't like this translation, but we'll see. The manager said to himself, what shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I'll do, so that when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses. So he called in each one of his master's debtors. He asked the first, how much do you owe my master? 900 gallons of olive oil, he replied. The manager told him, take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 450. So you see what he's doing? He's going to the clients who owe money to his master and basically forging a new bill or a new debt for them that basically decreases from what they owe to the manager. This would be considered a fraud, right, or a crime. Then he asked the second, "And how much do you owe?" 1,000 bushels of wheat, he replied. He told him, "Take your bill and make it 800. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. So basically, the old boss commended him for committing fraud and changing the value of the debt. It was very interesting. How would religious figures explain this? Where you're supposed to be honest in your dealings of work. Indeed you are, but this has to be understood in a metaphysical, psychological way, spiritual way. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. So, this is basically revision. You're changing the past. And as Neville Goddard said, so you too can, through a sort of an operation of spiritual counterfeit, change your past. You can change the memory of your past. And you can do it either by the Huberman recommendation, which is journaling about it, saying all of your feelings about that. It's very healthy. It's been shown to work. But a lot simpler technique is just to close your eyes. Say, take something that happened yesterday that you didn't like. Imagine what happened. Let's say you got yelled at by your boss, right? Now, what would you have liked to happen? Just think to yourself, what would I have liked to happen? Well, obviously, that your boss comes in and says, "Hey, you're doing a great job, and I'm giving you a raise." Now, do the best you can to envision your boss coming to you and saying, "I think you did a great job, and I'm giving you a raise." And repeat that over and over again until it feels natural, with intensity. If you can do that over and over again with intensity, you are basically creating a new memory, and you're erasing the trauma that happened. This is the operative essence of all of the processes that we're going to be teaching you here. And I just wanted to read a little bit of what Neville comments on this. He says, "Man can understand recurrence of events well enough, the building of a world from images supplied by memory, things remaining as they are. This gives him a sense of security in the stability of things. However, the presence within him of a power which awakens and becomes what it wills, radically changing its form, his environment and the circumstances of life, inspires in him a feeling of insecurity, a dreadful fear of the future. Now it's high time to awake out of sleep and put an end to all the unlovely creations of sleeping man. Revise each day. Let your strong imagination turn the great will backward until Troy unburn." You can revise your life, ladies and gentlemen. It's been proven in science. You look at a lot of what's been being proved and utilized in the Huberman labs. It's all from Neville. It's all from Law of Assumption, just modified and adapted in language that can be understood by modern academics. We're doing the same thing for modern professionals and business people and people who want to get off the prison grid. So remember, everything is revision. You can always remember and reconstruct any event you want, because this is interior. Interiorism teaches us all in your interior anyway, and then the outer is simply a reflection of that. So, and remember, any technique is simply to be done for the fun of it. There is no technique that you must do. The only true technique that you must do is reverting within and knowing who you are, and then everything flows from that. And remember to refresh yourself often, and remember who you are. Remember the I am. So just a short video that I wanted to share with you about some disparate thoughts about revision. Interiorism is the key. It's going to allow you to then go out into the world and practice any modalities that you want, with the knowledge of the fact that these are just conditional and temporary. They work on certain levels, but the only thing that works on all levels is knowing that all levels are within you. So thanks for watching. If you feel inspired and you like our material, please do subscribe to the channel. You'll be helping us get the word out, and you'll be putting your energy in with a group of master manifestors. Also, I am doing coaching calls. I will put my email in the description. I will take you through this modality hand in hand, and together we will accomplish more in weeks than many people accomplish in months and years. So until very soon, guys, this is Javier with the Real Javier Novoa bidding you good night.